A millionaire walked into a cafe he didn't remember. The waitress remembered him. He wore cheap clothes over expensive skin, jeans that had never seen real work, boots without a single scuff. She was wiping tables in an empty diner that smelled like burnt coffee and broken promises. When she looked up, her face showed nothing. No surprise, no anger, just recognition. "You never came back," she said. 4 months ago, he'd left her $100 bill and a promise. Then he bought the building and forgot she existed. Now the diner's closing in 30 days. He's standing 3 feet from the woman whose life he destroyed, and he has no idea who she is. Elena Reyes is 28 years old and has been invisible her entire life. Not to her daughter, never to Sophia, but to almost everyone else. She's the woman who refills your coffee before you ask. The one who remembers you take cream, no sugar. The one whose face you'd struggle to recall 5 minutes after leaving. She grew up in this neighborhood, South Side Chicago, in a cramped apartment above a laundromat, where the walls smelled like detergent and other people's lives. Her parents came from Mexico with nothing but work ethic and a phrase her mother repeated like a prayer. Tu palabra es tu columna vertebral. Si la doblas, nunca volverás a pararte derecho. Your word is your backbone. Bend it and you'll never stand straight again. Elena's father died when she was 16. Heart attack on a construction site. Her mother cleaned houses in Lincoln Park, the big ones with marble counters and wine cellars, until arthritis made her hands useless. Elena watched her mother scrub toilets for families who never learned her name. She learned early, dignity isn't something people give you. It's something you refuse to lose. She's been waitressing at Martha's Diner for 6 years now. Started 3 months after Sophia's father walked out, leaving behind a 7-week-old baby and 0 explanations. No child support, no forwarding address, just gone. Elena could have fallen apart. Instead, she put on an apron and learned to carry 4 plates at once. The diner sits on a corner that used to matter, back when this neighborhood had factories and unions and men who came in at 5 a.m. smelling like honest sweat. Now it's mostly empty storefronts and condos nobody local can afford. But Martha's survives. Cracked vinyl booths, a jukebox that only plays 3 songs. Coffee so bad it's good. It's the kind of place where construction workers sit next to nurses, where Mr. Chen eats the same breakfast every Thursday, where people still leave quarters as tips and nobody judges. Elena works doubles most weeks. 6 a.m. to midnight, sometimes longer. Her feet ache in shoes held together with duct tape. Her back hurts from lifting trays. She makes $9.50 an hour plus tips, which average maybe $40 on a good day. She counts every quarter. Does the math obsessively, rent, utilities, Sophia's after-school program, groceries, the medical bill from last year's emergency room visit that still haunts her credit. She lives in a studio apartment 12 blocks away. 1 room, a Murphy bed, a hot plate, windows that don't quite close. Sophia sleeps on a mattress in the corner, decorated with drawings she makes at school. Elena keeps every single one taped to the walls. Butterflies, houses with gardens, families holding hands. Dreams in crayon. But Elena doesn't dream anymore. She plans. She calculates. She survives. And she keeps her promises, always, because her mother's words live in her bones. Your word is your backbone. It's the only inheritance she has left. The only thing that makes her different from the people who forgot she exists. She's never asked for help, never expected rescue. She shows up, does the work, keeps her head up. That's dignity. That's survival. That's all she knows. Sophia's 2nd grade class is going to the Museum of Science and Industry. The permission slip has been on Elena's refrigerator for 6 weeks, held up by a magnet shaped like a sunflower. Cost, $47.50. It includes the bus, admission, and lunch. Sophia talks about it every single day. She's never been to a museum, never been on a school trip. She's drawn pictures of what she thinks dinosaurs look like, taped them above her mattress. Elena has been saving for 3 months, quarters in a coffee can, single dollars folded in her apron pocket. She's up to $35.75. She needs $11.75 more. The deadline is Friday, 3 days away. But Martha pulled her aside yesterday morning. The diner's struggling. Fewer customers every week. Rent went up again. Martha might have to cut hours. Maybe let someone go. She didn't say Elena's name, but the implication hung there like grease in the air. Elena picked up an extra overnight shift, Thursday to Friday morning. 18 straight hours. Her feet already hurt, but she'll make it work. She has to, because Sophia drew a picture of the two of them at the museum, holding hands in front of a dinosaur. Elena folded it into her apron pocket next to the money. She promised her daughter they'd go. And Elena Reyes keeps her promises, always. It's the one thing poverty hasn't taken from her. If she can't make $47.50 by Friday, Sophia stays home while her classmates go. That's not just money. That's another moment her daughter learns the world isn't built for people like them. Thursday morning, 7:15 a.m. The diner's almost empty, just Mr. Chen reading his paper and two nurses finishing a night shift. Then the door opens and a man walks in who doesn't belong. Elena notices immediately. 6 years of waitressing teaches you to read people in seconds. This man is wearing work boots that have never seen work. Designer jeans with the tags tucked but still visible if you know where to look. A baseball cap pulled low, but it's too clean, still holds its shape. His hands are soft. No calluses. He sits in her section and studies the laminated menu like it's written in a foreign language. She doesn't recognize him as Marcus Webb, doesn't know he owns half the new glass towers pushing into the neighborhood like teeth. She just sees another customer. "Coffee?" she asks. "Please, and I'll take the breakfast special, $6.25, 2 eggs, toast, bacon, hash browns, the thing everyone orders." He starts asking questions while she pours. Where's she from? How long has she worked here? Does she have kids? What are her dreams? The questions feel invasive, like he's collecting her life as data, but she answers politely. Professional. She mentions Sophia, the museum trip, saving up. She doesn't know why she tells him. Maybe because he seems interested. Maybe because nobody ever asks. "That's beautiful," he says. "People like you, working hard, staying hopeful. That's what makes neighborhoods like this special. People like you." The phrase lands wrong, but Elena smiles anyway. He eats slowly, asks Martha about the diner's history, takes a phone call about property assessments that he steps outside for. When he comes back, he's energized, almost theatrical. "I see how hard you work," he tells Elena as she clears his plate. "People like you are why I'm investing in this neighborhood. Real people, real stories." He pulls out his wallet. The leather is so new, it squeaks. Other customers are watching now. Mr. Chen looks over his paper. Marcus Webb places a $100 bill on top of the $6.25 check. Elena's breath catches. She's never held a $100 bill in her life. "Keep doing what you're doing," he says, standing. "I'm going to come back next week. We'll talk about opportunities, real opportunities for people who deserve them." He leaves before she can respond. The bell above the door chimes. Elena stands frozen, holding the bill like it might evaporate. Mr. Chen nods approvingly. One of the nurses says, "That's a blessing, honey." Elena counts it 3 times. With her other tips and savings, she now has $143.50. Enough for Sophia's trip. Enough for groceries, enough to breathe for the first time in months. She folds the bill carefully into her apron pocket, next to Sophia's drawing. That night she tells her daughter they're going to the museum. Sophia screams with joy. Elena feels something she hasn't felt in years. Hope. She waits for him to come back. 1 week passes, then 2, then 3. He never returns. But 4 weeks. After his visit, Martha calls an emergency staff meeting before the morning shift. Her hands are shaking. The building's been sold. New owner, rent is tripling. The diner is closing in 60 days. Elena asks who bought it. Martha slides a newspaper across the counter. There's a photo. A tech millionaire named Marcus Webb, standing in front of a development model, smiling. Revitalizing South Side through strategic investment, the headline reads. Elena stares at the photo. Recognition hits like cold water. The same soft hands, the same clean boots, the same face that sat in her section and called her real people while plotting to erase the place that kept her alive. He left her $100. Then he stole her entire life, and he didn't even remember doing it. Marcus Webb doesn't think about the diner for 3 months. Why would he? It was one morning in a neighborhood he barely remembers, part of a community outreach initiative his PR team suggested. Get to know the area before we break ground. Shows you care. He spent 40 minutes there, talked to some locals, left a generous tip. Box checked. He's 42 years old and has never waited for anything in his life. Not for tables at restaurants, not for meetings to start, not for people to return his calls. He's a Webb, 3rd generation. His grandfather built half of Chicago's North Side. His father, Richard, turned real estate into an empire. Marcus was supposed to do the same, but bigger, smarter, more conscious. That's his brand, the thoughtful millionaire. The one who talks about sustainable development and community impact while still delivering 17% returns. He gives TED Talks. He's been profiled in Forbes twice. The future of ethical real estate, they called him. The South Side project is his biggest yet. $42 million, mixed-use development. Luxury condos, artisanal retail, a Whole Foods-style market. He pitched it to the board as elevating the neighborhood and bringing resources to underserved communities. His father called it what it really is, gentrification with better marketing. 3 months after visiting the diner, Marcus sits in his office on the 53rd floor, preparing for a board presentation. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook the city. His assistant, Jennifer, runs through the community engagement metrics. She shows him PR photos from his Southside visits. There's one of him sitting in a booth talking to someone off camera. Where was that? He asks. Martha's Diner, the place on the corner of the main development lot. Are they relocating? Jennifer pauses. They're closing. Couldn't afford the new lease terms. Something flickers in Marcus's chest. Uncomfortable, easy to ignore. He moves to the next slide. The board meeting is in conference room A. Mahogany table, abstract art, bottles of San Pellegrino sweating condensation. His father sits at the head, silver-haired and sharp-eyed. The presentation goes smoothly until a community advocate interrupts during Q&A. She's furious. Talks about displacement, about Martha's Diner specifically, about a waitress with a young daughter who's losing her job. You people call it progress, she says. We call it erasure. Marcus defends himself with rehearsed language. Economic growth, market dynamics, inevitable change. His father nods approvingly. The board votes to proceed. The advocate is escorted out. But that night, alone in his Lincoln Park brownstone, Marcus opens his laptop. He searches his expense reports for the date Jennifer mentioned, April 17th. Martha's Diner, $6 meal. He tipped $100. He remembers now, vaguely. A woman, dark hair pulled back, tired eyes. She told him something about her daughter. A school trip? He told her he'd come back. He didn't. His fiancée, Vanessa, comes in from the kitchen with wine. She's a corporate attorney, sharp, practical. You're overthinking, she says. You left a generous tip. You can't save everyone, but Marcus can't stop thinking about the woman's face. Did she wait for him? Did she believe him when he said he'd come back? His father calls that night. Good work today. You handled that advocate perfectly. Never let them make it personal. Marcus says thank you, hangs up, stares at his reflection in the dark window. He makes a decision he can't quite explain. Tomorrow, he'll go back to the diner. Not for PR, not for optics. He needs to see if he remembers her correctly. He needs to know if she remembers him. He tells himself it's curiosity. But somewhere deeper, in a place he doesn't often visit, Marcus Webb is afraid of what he might find. Marcus walks into Martha's Diner on a Tuesday afternoon, wearing the same costume as before. Jeans, work boots, baseball cap. But this time he's not performing. This time his hands are shaking. The place looks different, dimmer. Cardboard boxes stacked against the back wall. A handwritten sign taped to the register. Closing sale, everything must go. 3 customers scattered across the booths. The jukebox is silent, and there she is, Elena, wiping down a table near the window. She looks older than he remembers, thinner. Her hair is pulled back tight, dark circles under her eyes visible even from across the room. She glances up. Their eyes meet. The world stops. You never came back, she says. Her voice is flat, not angry, just factual, like she's reading a weather report. The other customers look up. An old man at the counter, Mr. Chen, though Marcus doesn't know his name, sets down his coffee slowly. A woman in scrubs stops mid-bite. Martha emerges from the kitchen, dish towel in hand. Marcus opens his mouth. Nothing comes out. Elena sets down her rag and walks toward him. Not fast, deliberate, each step measured. She stops 3 feet away, close enough that he can see the exhaustion carved into her face. You sat right there, she says, pointing to the booth by the window. You asked me about my daughter. About my dreams. You said you'd come back. You said you were going to change things here. She pauses. Then you bought the building. Marcus tries to speak. I didn't know this specific location would be affected. It's not personal, it's just not personal. Elena's voice rises for the first time. You gave me $100. You know what I did with it? I paid for my daughter's field trip. I felt lucky. I felt seen. Then I found out you're the reason I'm losing everything. Mr. Chen stands up from his stool. That's Marcus Webb, the developer. His company's pushing everyone out. Martha comes around the counter. Elena, but Elena doesn't stop. You want to know the worst part? I believed you. I actually believed you cared. Marcus feels the walls closing in. Everyone is watching. He tries to salvage it. Defaults to what he knows. Solutions, transactions, fixes. I can help. I'll talk to property management. Maybe we can extend the lease, work out a payment plan. Maybe. Elena's laugh is sharp, bitter. You want credit for maybe fixing what you broke. Marcus feels defensive now, cornered. His voice hardens. I left you $100. I didn't have to do that. Wrong words. Catastrophically wrong. Elena steps closer. Her eyes are burning now. You think $100 buys you the right to destroy people's lives? You think that's generosity? That's guilt money. And it didn't even work because you forgot about us the second you walked out that door. I'm trying to help this neighborhood, Marcus says, voice rising. The problem is people like you. You're stuck because you don't take risks, don't adapt, don't... He doesn't finish. Elena reaches into her apron, pulls out her tip wallet, counts out $4.75, 3 singles, 7 quarters. Everything she's made this morning. She places the money on the table in front of him. Each bill, each coin, deliberately. Here, she says quietly. Now we're even. You owe me nothing. I owe you nothing. Leave. The diner is dead silent. Marcus stares at the money. $4.75. Less than his morning coffee costs. Mr. Chen starts clapping, slow, deliberate. The woman in scrubs joins. Then Martha. The sound fills the small space. Marcus's face burns. He turns and walks out, pushing through the door so hard the bell cracks against the glass. He makes it to his car before his hands start shaking so badly he can't get the key in the ignition. Marcus sits in his father's study that evening. The room smells like leather and old money, first editions on mahogany shelves, a globe that's more decoration than function, windows overlooking a manicured garden that costs more to maintain than Elena makes in a year. Richard Webb is 70 years old and has never apologized for anything in his life. He's reviewing quarterly reports when Marcus walks in, still shaken from the diner. You went back. Richard doesn't look up from his documents. Jennifer mentioned you visited that location again. Why? Marcus sits in the chair across from the desk, the same chair where he's received every lecture, every lesson, every disappointment his father's ever delivered. The waitress. She remembered me. I told her I'd come back and I didn't. Now Richard looks up. His eyes are cold, assessing. So I destroyed her life. The diner's closing because we tripled the rent. She's losing her job. She has a daughter. Son. Richard sets down his pen with precision. This is business. You can't let every sob story derail a $42 million project. It's not a sob story. It's a person. I made her a promise. You made small talk. That's not a promise. That's customer service. Richard leans back in his chair. Let me tell you something about the Webb family. Your grandfather built this city by making hard decisions. He didn't apologize for progress. Neither did I, neither should you. Marcus feels something building in his chest. What if progress is just another word for taking things from people who can't fight back? Richard's face hardens. What if it is? The strong survive. The market decides. That waitress, she'll find another job. Someone else will open something in that space. This is evolution. This is cruelty. No. Richard stands now, walks to the window. Cruelty is letting sentiment destroy opportunity. You want to be different from me? Fine, but don't pretend you're not living off the same fortune you're suddenly questioning. He turns back to Marcus. You drove to that diner in a car I bought you. You're wearing a watch that costs more than that woman makes in 6 months. Your brownstone? Purchased with Webb money. That's not fair. Fair? Richard laughs, sharp and cold. You think the world is fair? Son, if you really cared about that waitress, you'd sell everything. The car, the watch, the house. You'd give it all away and go wait tables yourself. He pauses. But you won't, because you like being comfortable. You like being powerful. You just don't like feeling guilty about it. The words hit like physical blows. So here's what you do, Richard continues. You finish the project. You accept that collateral damage is the cost of achievement. You stop engaging with people who make everything personal. And you remember that the Webb name means something because we don't bend. Marcus sits in silence. His father returns to his reports, the conversation over. At home, Vanessa is equally unsympathetic. She's in silk pajamas, reviewing case files on the couch. Your father's right. You can't save everyone. This is why successful people don't get close to... She stops herself. Close to what? Marcus asks. People in different circumstances. They make it personal. They don't understand how the world works. Marcus looks at his fiancée. Really looks at her. Sees her for the first time as Elena would see her. Private education, family money, a life where $4.75 wouldn't register as real money. He realizes he's surrounded by people who see Elena as a statistic, a line item, an acceptable loss. That night, Marcus can't sleep. He keeps hearing Elena's voice. You never came back. He keeps seeing the money on the table. $4.75. Everything she had. He looks up Martha's Diner online, finds a community petition to save it. 842 signatures. He reads the comments. A proposal over hash browns. A daughter's first job. A place where Mr. Chen ate breakfast every Thursday for 17 years. First dates. Last conversations with dying parents. A community held together by coffee and vinyl booths. Marcus thinks about his father's question. If you really cared, what would you actually do? For the first time in his life, Marcus Webb doesn't have an answer that protects him. Marcus goes back to the diner the next morning. He doesn't sleep first. Just drives there at 6 a.m., parks across the street, and watches through the window until he sees Elena arrive for her shift. She spots him through the glass. Her jaw tightens. She shakes her head once, a clear message. Stay away. He gets out of the car anyway. The bell chimes when he enters. Elena is tying her apron, her back to him. We're not open yet. I know. I just need 5 minutes. You don't get 5 minutes. You don't get anything. She turns to face him. Her eyes are red-rimmed. How many times do I have to tell you to leave? Martha emerges from the back, takes one look at the situation and holds up a hand. Both of you, sit. It's not a request, they sit. Opposite sides of a booth. Elena won't look at him. Marcus starts. I'm sorry, really. I didn't think about the consequences the way I should have. I didn't connect. You didn't think, Elena cuts him off. That's the problem. You don't have to think because you have money to clean up your mistakes. That's not fair. I'm trying? Elena's voice breaks. You think trying counts? I tried to save money for my daughter's field trip. I tried to keep my job. I tried to believe someone actually saw me as a person. Trying doesn't feed my kid when I'm unemployed. Marcus leans forward. Then let me help. Really help. I can fight the lease increase. I can convince the board to make an exception, maybe grandfather in the current rent. Stop! Elena's hands are shaking. You're doing it again, riding in like some savior. We don't need you to rescue us. We need you to stop destroying us in the first place. Then what do you want from me? Marcus's frustration shows now. I'm here. I'm trying to make it right. What else can I do? Nothing. I want nothing from you. That's the point. Elena's voice is steady now, cold. You think everything's transactional. You gave me money, so I should be grateful. You offer help now, so I should forget you're the reason I need help. That's not how this works. I'm not my father. I'm trying to be better, but the result is the same, isn't it? You're still here in your expensive jeans playing dress-up. I'm still losing my job. Your intentions don't pay my rent. They're both standing now, voices rising. Other early morning regulars are starting to arrive, hesitating at the door. Martha slams a coffee pot on the counter. The sound cracks through the diner like a gunshot. Enough, both of you. Sit down. They sit. Martha pours coffee for both of them. Sets the cups down hard enough that liquid sloshes over the rim. You two are arguing about pride. Both of you. Martha... Elena starts. No, listen. Martha looks at Marcus first. You want to feel like a good person without actually giving up anything. You want absolution without sacrifice. Then she turns to Elena. And you're so angry you can't see when someone's genuinely struggling to understand. Pride is making you blind. Elena's face flushes. I have every right to be angry. Yes, you do. But anger doesn't save this place. Martha sits down next to her. The community board is fighting the development. They need someone who understands real estate law, contracts, zoning loopholes. Someone who knows how these people think. She looks at Marcus. That's you. Then back to Elena. And they need someone who knows this neighborhood, who can get testimonies, organize people, who the community actually trusts. That's you. Silence. You want me to work with him? Elena's voice is incredulous. I want you to save this diner. Swallow your pride for 8 weeks or watch this place disappear. Marcus nods slowly. I can help. I know the legal side. I can... You don't get to feel good about this, Elena interrupts. Her eyes are hard. This isn't redemption. This isn't you being the hero. This is you cleaning up your mess. That's all? Fine. And I don't forgive you. I'm not asking you to. Martha looks between them. So we have a deal? Long pause. Elena's hands are fists on the table. Marcus's coffee sits untouched. Finally, Elena speaks. 8 weeks. Then you're gone. Agreed. Neither of them looks happy, but it's a start. They meet after Elena's shifts, 9 p.m. to midnight, at a corner booth in the empty diner. Marcus brings lease documents, zoning maps, legal precedents. Elena brings coffee that's been sitting on the burner too long and a patience worn thinner each night. The first week is brutal. They barely speak except to share information. Marcus explains contract clauses in language Elena doesn't understand. She stops him, makes him translate. Pretend I didn't go to Yale, she says. He didn't know she knew where he went to school. She knows everything about him now, Googled him, read the Forbes profiles, saw the photos of his engagement party at the Art Institute. Elena teaches him things too, shows him the neighborhood, not as a developer would see it, but as people live it. The bodega, where Mr. Chen buys lottery tickets every Friday. The church basement where Sophia goes for after-school care. The corner where 3 generations of families have waited for the bus to factory jobs that don't exist anymore. This isn't just real estate, she tells him one night, spreading photos across the table. These are lives. Marcus's phone rings constantly. His father, the board, Vanessa. He starts silencing it during their meetings. Week 2, they find a potential angle, historical significance. The diner was a meeting place during the civil rights movement in the 60s. If they can prove it, if they can get landmark status, the development might be blocked or redesigned. We need evidence, Marcus says. Photos, testimonies, documentation. Elena nods. I'll talk to the old-timers, people who've been here since the beginning. They divide the work. Marcus uses his connections to access city archives, pulls permits and records from 1962 to 1968. Elena spends her breaks visiting retired neighbors. Mrs. Patterson, who remembers sit-in planning sessions over coffee. Jerome Williams, whose father was a union organizer who held meetings in the back booth. One night, Marcus brings takeout from a restaurant in Lincoln Park, $40 entrees in styrofoam containers. Elena looks at the food, then at him. No. What? We eat diner food, the $6.25 special, like everyone else. He starts to argue, then stops. Orders 2 specials, eats hash browns that are too greasy and toast that's slightly burnt, actually tastes it this time. Another night, Elena's daughter Sophia comes by after her program closes. She's 7, with her mother's dark eyes and a backpack covered in stickers. She sits in the booth doing homework while Elena and Marcus work. Sophia looks up from her math worksheet. Are you the bad man who's closing Mama's work? The question hangs in the air. Brutal, honest, child simple. Marcus doesn't know how to answer. Elena doesn't help him. She just watches, waiting. I was. He finally says, I'm trying not to be. Sophia considers this. Trying isn't the same as doing. You're right. It's not. She goes back to her homework. Marcus sits there feeling like he's been gutted by a second grader. Week 3, they're working late when Marcus's frustration boils over. This might not work. Even if we find everything, the board could fight it. My father will fight it. The legal fees alone. So we fail, Elena says quietly. Then what? You go back to your life. I lose mine. Nothing changes for you. That's not true, isn't it? She's not angry, just tired. You can walk away any time. I can't. Marcus wants to argue. Can't. They work in silence for a while. Then Marcus says something he's never said to anyone. I don't know if I can do this. If we fail, I don't know how to live with that. Elena looks at him, really looks at him, sees something she hasn't seen before, actual fear. Now you know how the rest of us feel, she says, softer than before. Every single day. It's not forgiveness. But it's something, understanding maybe, a crack in the wall. They find the evidence they need 2 days later, photos from 1965, testimony from 5 people who remember, documentation of meetings, protests, organizing. The diner was a sanctuary, a headquarters, a piece of history, but there's a problem. To file for landmark status, they need a sponsor, someone with legal standing, resources, time to navigate the bureaucracy. Marcus realizes what that means. He'd have to do it, publicly, against his own company, against his father, against everything he's built his identity on. Elena watches him process this, watches him hesitate. You're going to back out, she says. I'm not. I need to understand what this costs. What it costs you, Elena corrects, not what it costs us. The wall goes back up. They're strangers again, almost. Marcus doesn't answer right away. He sits there with the evidence spread across the table. Photos, testimonies, documents that could save the diner. All he has to do is sign his name as sponsor, put his resources, his legal team, his reputation behind it, against his own company, against his father, against the $42 million project that was supposed to prove he could be ruthless when it mattered. Elena watches him calculate, sees the hesitation, feels the old fury rising in her chest. You're not going to do it. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. I can see it on your face. She starts gathering the documents. This was a waste of time. Elena, wait. No, I'm done waiting. I waited for you to come back. I waited for you to care. I'm done. She's shoving papers into folders now, hands shaking. You got to feel good about yourself for a few weeks. You got to pretend you're different from your father. But when it actually costs you something, you're exactly the same. That's not fair. You have no idea what I'm risking, what you're risking. Elena slams her hands on the table. I'm about to lose the job that feeds my daughter. I'm about to lose the place where Mr. Chen has eaten breakfast for 17 years. I'm about to watch this neighborhood get erased. And you're worried about what? Your trust fund? Your father's approval? My entire life. Marcus is standing now too. If I do this, I lose my position on the board. My father will disown me. Vanessa already left. I'll have nothing. You'll have money. You'll have connections. You'll have options. Elena's voice cracks. You'll still have everything. You just won't have quite as much of it. The words hit him like a slap. They stand there in silence. The diner's fluorescent lights hum overhead. Outside, a bus passes, its brakes squealing. Elena sits down heavily. The fight drains out of her. You want to know the real difference between us? Marcus sits across from her, waits. When I make a promise, I keep it because my word is all I have. It's my backbone. My mother taught me that. If I bend it, I'll never stand straight again. She looks at him directly now. When you make a promise, you forget it because you have everything else. Your word doesn't matter because you have money to cover it, lawyers to fix it, a name that opens doors even after you've burned bridges. Marcus opens his mouth, closes it. She's right. Your father taught you webs don't fail. Elena continues. My mother taught me your word is your backbone. Maybe they're both wrong. Maybe the real test isn't never failing. It's what you do after you've already failed someone. The silence stretches. Then Marcus says something that surprises both of them. I think I'm trapped too. Elena looks at him skeptically. I know how that sounds. Poor rich boy. But I am. He's not looking at her anymore. He's looking at his reflection in the dark window. My father has controlled every decision I've ever made. What school I went to. What career I chose. Who I dated. I thought this project, this whole conscious development thing, was me being different. But it's just his playbook with better branding. So leave, Elena says. Walk away. Start over. With what? I don't know how to do anything else. I don't know who I am without the web name. He finally looks at her. You think I'm powerful? But I'm just executing someone else's vision of what I should be. You have more freedom than I do. Elena laughs, sharp and bitter. Freedom. I work 18-hour shifts for $9.50 an hour. I haven't had a day off in 3 months. My daughter sleeps on a mattress on the floor. That's not freedom. That's survival. But you chose it. You could have what? Abandoned my daughter, given up? There are no other choices. Not real ones, she pauses. You're talking about freedom like it's choosing between vacation homes. I'm talking about choosing between rent and food. I know. You're right. I'm sorry. Marcus runs his hands through his hair. I just meant, you know who you are. You know what matters. I don't. I've never had to figure it out. They sit in the quiet. Elena speaks first, quieter now. You asked me what I want from you. I'll tell you. I want you to make a choice that costs you something. Not money, you, your comfort, your safety, your father's approval. She leans forward. I want you to know what it feels like to risk everything for something that matters. Marcus meets her eyes. And if I do this, if I sponsor the landmark application, and we lose anyway, then at least you kept your word. At least you stood straight. Something shifts in Marcus's face. A decision settling into place. My father asked me a question, he says. He asked if you really cared, what would you actually do? He looks at the documents on the table. I think I finally know the answer. The city council hearing is packed. Standing room only. Community members fill the left side, Martha, Mr. Chen, Sophia sitting on Elena's lap. Developers and board members fill the right. Marcus's father sits front row, stone-faced, arms crossed. Elena presents first. She doesn't use fancy language, just tells the truth. What the diner means, the jobs, the history, Mr. Chen's 17 years of Thursday breakfasts, Sophia's hot chocolate after school, the civil rights meetings in 1965. She shows the photos, reads the testimonies. Her voice doesn't shake. Marcus goes next, explains the legal argument for landmark status, the historical significance, the documentation, professional, thorough, safe. Then Richard Webb requests to speak. He stands slowly, addresses the council, but his words aim at Marcus. My son has confused charity with wisdom. This building is not a landmark. It's nostalgia, sentimentality. Progress requires sacrifice. The Webb family built this city by understanding that fact. The room is silent. Marcus stands. His hands are shaking, but his voice is clear. My father taught me webs don't fail, but he never taught me what success actually means. He looks directly at Richard. I thought it was growth, profit, legacy, building empires. He pauses. I was wrong. Success is keeping your word. It's standing straight when everything in you wants to bend. Richard's face hardens. This diner survives, Marcus says to the council, or my name means nothing. The council votes. 4-3. Temporary landmark status granted pending full review. Not a victory, but a chance. Elena doesn't hug Marcus, just nods once across the room. Richard walks out without looking at his son. Marcus stands alone in the middle, belonging to neither side. 6 months later, Martha's Diner still stands. Full landmark status granted. The development was redesigned around it. Compromise, not erasure. The neighborhood is changing, but the diner remains. A small victory, a fragile one, but real. Marcus lost his board position. His father hasn't spoken to him since the hearing. Vanessa married someone from her law firm 3 months ago. Marcus saw the announcement in the Tribune. He works as an independent consultant now. Smaller projects, community-focused development. Less money, no empire. He sold the brownstone, moved to a modest apartment in Pilsen, drives a used car, wears actual work boots now, scuffed and broken in. He's learning to live differently, learning what enough means. One Thursday morning, Marcus walks into the diner. No disguise this time, just himself. The bell chimes. The place is full, the breakfast rush. Construction workers, nurses, students. Mr. Chen at his usual spot reading the paper. Elena is working the counter. She sees him. Her hands pause mid-pour, just for a second. Then she grabs a clean mug and fills it with coffee. Real coffee, not the burnt dregs from 4 hours ago. He sits at the counter. She sets the mug in front of him without a word. Then the 6.25 breakfast special. 2 eggs, toast, bacon, hash browns. Marcus pulls out his wallet. Elena stops him, her hand hovering over the plate. It's 6.25, she says. Not 100, not anything else, just what it costs. He counts out exact change, $6, a quarter, places it on the counter. Elena takes the money, rings it up. As she turns to refill someone else's coffee, she glances back. Not quite a smile, but something softer than before. You came back, she says quietly. Marcus nods. Yeah, I did. She doesn't sit with him, doesn't stay to talk. She has other customers, other tables, work to do, but as she moves through the diner, refilling cups, taking orders, wiping down counters, she passes his seat and pauses. On the counter beside his plate, she's left something. A folded piece of paper. Sophia's drawing from months ago. The museum trip. Mother and daughter holding hands in front of a dinosaur. At the bottom, in careful child handwriting, Mama kept her promise. Marcus looks at it for a long time, folds it carefully, puts it in his wallet next to a photo of his mother he's carried since he was 12. He finishes his breakfast. The eggs are overcooked. The hash browns are too greasy. The coffee is too strong. It tastes perfect. He leaves a tip, $3. Fair, honest, nothing more, nothing less. As he stands to leave, Elena is at the register. Their eyes meet. She doesn't say anything, doesn't need to. The distance between them is still there, different worlds, different lives. But something has shifted. Not forgiveness exactly, something quieter. Respect maybe, recognition. Marcus walks to the door. The bell chimes as he pushes it open. Cold November air rushes in. See you next Thursday, Elena calls after him. He turns back. She's all ready, serving another customer. But she's watching him from the corner of her eye. Yeah, he says, next Thursday. This time she believes him. This time he means it. The door closes. The diner continues. Life goes on. Some promises are kept in silence. Some debts are repaid not in money, but in showing up. Marcus walks to his car. His phone buzzes, his father's lawyer with another message he'll ignore. He gets in, starts the engine, and sits there for a moment looking back at the diner through the windshield. Inside, Elena refills Mr. Chen's coffee. Sophia will come by after school. The jukebox plays one of its 3 songs. The world turns, the diner survives, and for the first time in his life, Marcus Webb knows what his word is worth. Some promises are kept in silence. Some debts are repaid in change, not money. The distance between what we say and what we do, that's where we find out who we really are. Your word is your backbone. Bend it and you'll never stand straight again. If this story made you think about the promises you keep, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that matter.